So, morning ladies, I'm Dawn from Decisions Marketing, and I'm really pleased to be able to talk to you about Mailchimp, because email marketing is one tool that absolutely everybody can consider. So regardless of what you offer or can I just see a quick show of hands? How many people are already using Mailchimp? It's not a trick question. I won't be asking anything else, but how many people already have an account, please? Okay, brilliant. Thank you. What I wanted to do was take you through the basics for those of you who don't have an account. But as I'm going through and doing that, I hope to be able to offer some tips and tricks for those of you who are currently using it. So hopefully there'll be something for everyone. It will be a whistle-stop tour because there's so much, and I'm happy to come back and do a part 2 if need be. That's absolutely fine. And bear with me while I try and share my screen and do the gizmos with the technology. I'm going to go right from the beginning, from the login, and I think it's really helpful to see it right from the very beginning and go through. So bear with me. Okay, so I'm starting off by logging in. There's the pressure to type correctly when people are watching, isn't it? Okay, so when we first get in, there's 3 areas that we need to look at. The first one is your audience or your list that you're going to be emailing. We're then going to look at the fun part, which is putting the email together, and that's when you get to play with the colours and the images and the content. And then the last bit is putting that together into what we call a campaign, but that's essentially when you send your email out. And then I'll spend just a little bit of time at the end talking about the analysis, because the beautiful thing about Mailchimp is that if you have under 2,000 contacts, hands up who's got more than 2,000 contacts, anybody? No, it's free for us. It's free for all of us because it's under 2,000 contacts. So everything that I'm going to be going through is absolutely free. So it's something that everybody can consider. So the first thing we're going to do is create our list. Now, if you already have an account, you may find that you have more than one list. If you have a recent account or you are just about to start Mailchimp, then Mailchimp will let you have one list or one audience within the free version. But what we can do is label people within that audience so that we can segment them. So if I go into view contacts, I've made up these email addresses, by the way. So there's email addresses here. These are people within my list, and some of them are labeled or tagged as clients. Now this is really important. It's a really helpful thing that you can do, because you might want to send something just to your clients. You might want to send something to people who have signed up for your newsletter, for example. So it's important to think, well, how can I earmark these people so that they get the right emails? So what we can do, we can manage contacts, we can go into our tags, and here I can create a tag. I've already got clients, but let's say I want to send a newsletter out to people. So I'm going to create a tag called e-news. And then if I go back to my contacts, I can select which ones have given me permission to send them my newsletter. And this is really important because in order to enter people to Mailchimp, you need to have their permission to write to them. Now, if they are clients, you can write to them. And have you ever heard of GDPR? The data protection rules? Yes. So we need to make sure that we have consent. And there's 2 reasons that we might want to email people, which would be legal through Mailchimp. Number 1 is that they are an existing client and you are updating them about something to do with your business operation. So that could be your timings, your availability, your location, your pricing, all of those you could write out to everybody. But if you want to promote a specific event or a new product or service, or maybe send a monthly newsletter out, maybe they're your blog items or interesting articles, you need to have their permission to send them marketing information. So here, where we've got source, can you see source there? I've added these people, and if you manually add people to your list, this is where they go. But it might say that they found your list via a landing page or via a website, so you'll know where they've come from. And if they ever come back to you in the future and they say, well, how did you get my name? Why am I on your list? You'll know where they signed up. Or if you've added them, then you've either got a sign-up sheet or an email which has given you permission that you'll be able to trace. So that means you're completely covered legally. If you want to add people, we created the e-news tag for people who want to receive your marketing information. If we want to do the people that we know have received and given us permission, we can select those people and we can choose a tag for them. And then it's updated. And can you see some people have got 2 tags, some people won't have any, but when it comes to sending out your information, then you can choose which people here you want to send to. Before, we may have had one list for marketing and one list for clients. But now with the free version, we can only have one list. So this is the perfect way to divide them between the 2 different groups of people. If you want to add to your list, there's different ways we can do that. You can either manually add a subscriber. So a subscriber is a contact. And when you add their email address, you can create a tag for them as well. You need to tick to confirm that you've got permission to email them. So Mailchimp is making sure that you're taking responsibility for that. It might be that you've got a full list of people that you want to add. Maybe they came to an event, in which case you can import them, which is really easy. You literally drag and drop from a file or copy and paste from a file. It's really, really quick to do. And I have to say as well, the help facility on Mailchimp is really, really good. So if in doubt, you can always click on help as well. So that's the audience bit. I am happy to take questions about all of this, but if we could take them at the end, that would be great. I could talk about this for days, but I'm conscious that I haven't got days. So I'm going to go on to the second section now, which is the exciting bit, which is actually creating your email. For those of you who use Mailchimp, you may have noticed that the layout has changed. It took me ages to find my email templates. They used to be under brand. They're now under campaigns. So it's just a tip if you haven't used it recently, because it took me ages to find it. When we go into emails, this is the templates that I already have. If you don't have one currently that you want to edit, you can go into create and you can create a template here. By using a template rather than just an email, it means you can go back to that format and adjust it and use it in the future without having to start from scratch. So if you go into an email and you're creating your own email, I thought it would be easiest to show you something that was already here so you could see how it comes to life. It's literally a drag and drop from over here, which are your design options. So if I wanted a text box, I'd come over here and put it in here. That's exactly what this is. This is a text box. And then I can type it in here. What I find quite helpful to do is to write it out separately in a Word file and then cut and paste it across rather than try and type it live into Mailchimp. What you will need to be aware of though is that you do need to format it once you have cut and paste it into Mailchimp. So you can format it here, looking at the fonts, looking at the sizes, looking at the colours. And what I really love about this is that all the icons here, they look familiar, don't they? They look like Word. So it makes it really nice and easy to use. So we've got that option there. We save and close. If you want to avoid having to reformat every time, we can go into settings. And for example, the main body of the email, which is this bit here, we can go into here and we can select what we want it to look like. So the background here is the background colour behind these blocks. I strongly suggest that you leave it as white because it's the easiest colour to read off of. But you do see sometimes you see colours behind, and that's where they would change it. We've also got the text itself. So you can see you can change everything from the font that you use right through to your spacing. And here we've got the colour of a link. So can you see here, I've got a link within that, and that's the colour there. Now you can choose colours within Mailchimp, but can you see here is a specified proper colour reference. So this can be designed to go exactly with your corporate branding. If you know what colours you've got within your website and on your business cards and the information that you give to clients, you can reflect that within this as well. So it's nice and consistent. The other one, which is very, very common to use, is when we add an image. So for example here, this is a text and an image. And if we go into settings, you can see we can change. If I just click through here, you see how this image changes. We can change the impact of the image. It will default to being half. And we can also change the position. So if you find that you've got a very long, short image and it doesn't suit this position, you could try it down here instead. So it's a very nice way of just very quickly playing around and seeing what you'd like. You can, if you want to, have 2 columns. And again, it can be side by side, or it can be one above the other. But can you see here that I've got one which is a lot shorter than the other? So it kind of looks a bit disjointed. So that's my tip if you would like to have 2 columns. A lot of people like that. It does look smart, but you do need to make sure that the height of your image and the number of lines on your text is the same, so that when people see it, it will look smarter. And I'm just going to take you down to an example, so bear with me. So best Blue Peter fashion, here's one I prepared earlier. So we've got 2 columns there, and we've got the images are the same size, and we've got the same amount of text. But when I came to write this, I actually had a little bit more that I wanted to say, but it was going to make it a bit disjointed. So I've added an extra text box at the bottom here, just to put that extra bit of text in. So what I would have done is got these 2 to how I wanted them, drag and drop an extra text box in there, and then I can cut and paste my text into that box. Okay, things like dividers, they're all here as well. You can add buttons to click through. Some people have things like take a look, which I've got down there. Can everybody see that? Yeah, thank you. So take a look. You could, if you prefer, put a button down there. You can change the colour to suit what it is that you're doing. So here we are. We can change the look of it slightly if we want to. And that could say read more if we prefer. Line it to the left. Even though it's only an example, I can't bear to see it looking all out of sync. And then with this, you can link to a variety of things. Now, I think, Louise, you mentioned about can we put attachments on Mailchimp?
Yes, I did, yeah.
We can't put an attachment on Mailchimp, but we can link to a file. So if you have a PDF and you drop it into your content library, you can link to it from within the email. So it's not a physical attachment to the Mailchimp email, but it is there that people can click on it and open it in a separate window. Okay, but it could be that you want people to email you. It could be that you want to take them to another point in your email, or most commonly is a web address if you're linking through, say, for example, for people to read more on your blog, something like that, or a contact page. So we've got a big variety of stuff there. My top tips for images, your image, if it's half the width, should be about 300 pixels wide, because if it's more than that, it can look okay on some browsers, but not on others. So keep it to about 300. And also it keeps it smaller so that it's quicker for people and easier for people to download when they see it in their inbox as well. Now then, a fantastic facility that's on here is to preview what you've done. Now your desktop will probably look similar to how you've been working on it, but mobile is really important, and Mailchimp will automatically adjust your content for mobile, but take a look at it and make sure you're happy with it. So if I can just scroll down to the bottom where those 2 columns were, on mobile, you can't have 2 columns, it will just be 1. And if the vast majority of your people will be looking at the content on a mobile, I would suggest not worrying about having 2 columns, because it's a lot of faffing around to get the images and the text to fit exactly side by side. And then when they see it on their mobile, they don't see it in its full glory anyway. But it will adjust it. So everything is adjusted. Sometimes what you'll find, like here, for example, the image will come before the text. So if that image doesn't speak for itself, you might want to put your headline as a text box above the image. So they see the headline, then the image makes sense, then they see the rest of the content. So that's my other tip for mobile. Okay. So once we've had fun going through, this is the fun bit, going through and putting all the images together, please always send yourself a test email. We can do that from the screen where we set up the campaign, but I always dread I'm going to press the wrong button and press send by accident. There's no danger of that here. So this is where I recommend you do the test email. So you literally would press test email and then put your email address in, and it will send it to you. You can see how it looks when it arrives in your inbox. So you can keep going. You can send yourself as many test emails as you like. Keep going till you're happy with it. Once we know that we're happy with our list of people, that it's up to date, and we're happy with the design of our email, then we get to the point where it all comes to life and we put a campaign together. So there's different ways of accessing that. I like to do it from the template, so I know I'm definitely using the right one that I've just worked with. So positive vibes, I'm going to create a campaign. Okay, so then we work our way through this screen. We start off by saying who we're going to send it to. Now, because I've got more than one list, it will ask me to choose a list. Which one was it? This one. Okay. So here, do you remember we said that we would put tags in our list so that some people are clients and they can receive our business operational updates. Other people are marketing sign-ups, so that we tag them as e-news. So now I can select if I want to send just to those people that have said, yes, you can send me marketing material, or if I want to send to the people that I'm working with. So if this was, say, a monthly newsletter, it would go into the e-news tag. So now it will only send people to people that have said, yes, I want to receive that information. If you have the names available, the first names, then that's great. I think if it's clients and contacts that you know, then it's a lot safer and easier to ask for first names. So if I just go into one, here we go. And then I can personalize it, and it will say to Dawn rather than to Dawn at Decisions Marketing, which looks a lot more friendly. But if you're going to get sign-ups from websites, from different social media posts, if they're people that you don't know, often people are quite wary about giving you more details than their email address. And the more detail you ask for, the more likely they are to say, do you know what, I'm not going to bother. And you also need to be aware of the dodgy old names that people will put in just to have a laugh with you, because they don't want to give you their real details. So I'm often a bit nervous about using first name, depending on where the list has come from. If you've got them and they're safe, that's great. If in doubt, then leave them out. I worked with a list recently. They were all people that voluntarily signed up for this list. And one was Sweaty Eskimo. So I would have sent emails saying, hi, Sweaty. And another one was Ginger Voodoo. So I would have said, hi, Ginger. And I just thought, I just don't trust it. I can't include them. But you can put a bit of code where I put hello first name. You can do a bit of code which says, if you've got the name, use it. If you haven't, this is what you say instead. So there is a way around that. So we decide who we're going to send it to. And we said we were going to send to e-news. Now, another really, really clever thing that you can do within Mailchimp, you can choose a segment, and a segment is people based on their activity. And I really want to show you this because it's so clever. Okay, so here we've got, say, active subscribers. These are people who have actually opened your emails, which is just fantastic to be able to know that you're just writing to those people. Or it might be that you're writing to those people who haven't opened your email. So maybe the people that have been active, you want to give one message to. Maybe you want to say to them, what's the best thing about this? What makes you really like what it is that I'm doing? Because if you can put out those strengths, you can emphasize them to the people that haven't been very active. And so, did you know it's this, this, and this? And let me know what you think. Would you like me to keep writing to you? And you can get that feedback. This is here because I haven't used first name, but I don't have it on this list. So it's okay to ignore that as long as you're happy with the reasons for not having first name. Here is who it's coming from, and you can edit that as well if you would like to. Here we've got subject. So this is my positive vibes email, so we'll call it that. What I'm really keen to avoid is things like latest update or July news, something like that. Give them something that's going to really just pique people's interest, a little bit of intrigue, something that's going to be interesting, but they've got to have a look at the email to find out that extra bit of information. And I'll show you some titles in a moment. Okay, so we've saved that. And then we're ready to go. Oh, this is the really scary bit. You can send yourself another test email, and that will then have your subject in it as well. So at this point, you haven't reached the point of no return. You can still test it, have a look at it on your mobile as well. And then if you have an older account or a paid for account, you can schedule and you can decide when you want it to go. If not, you can either save it as a draft and go back to it and tweak it later on, or you get to press the big send button, which I'm not going to do because I'm not sure who it will go to, but you can press the send button. I'm going to finish it later, and I'm conscious that I'm probably running out of time, so I just really want to show you very quickly the campaigns here, because what Mailchimp is brilliant at doing is giving you analysis. You can see these are all the campaigns that I've sent out recently. You can see the percentage that's opened. Now, if you're sending out to people that you already know, I would suggest you're looking at least a 50% open rate, 50% plus. If it's a cold list, and I know people are very nervous about that since GDPR, but you can still have cold lists that are very effective and legal. I'm working with one at the moment, and our open rate is between 10 and 25%, and our click-through rate is 35%. So for a cold list, I'm really happy with that. And the only thing to be aware of with a cold list is if you get too many spam reports, your account can be blacklisted. We've managed to get away without any of those by putting a message right at the very top to say why people are getting the email, so that really helps. But Mailchimp will go in, if we have this one, tone your bum and make your choices. Let's have a look at that one. So this gives you the report. If I click on that, it will tell me who's opened, who's clicked through, and I can see which of the links were the most popular. And it always staggers me when I come down here. John, bless his heart, he's a friend of mine. Every time he opens it at least 10 to 20 times. Why? But he's got that number. So the analysis is really, really good. And all of this is free. And the best thing that I can do is to say, just give it a go. Set it up just for you at the moment. So you can just send it to you as a test and just get familiar with it. And remember that the help facility is really good. Even if you search online, it will come up as Mailchimp help. And it really is so good. And for those of you that are using this regularly, other things that we can add are things like landing pages. So if you want to give people a little bit more information before they sign up, you can have a landing page. We can also do surveys now within Mailchimp as well. So if you want to ask people for feedback, this is really, really helpful. It's the survey here. View page. There's very little design option on the surveys, but you can, this is what I put as my logo. So you can put your logo there and that's about it. But it's brilliant to be able to ask these questions. I kept it deliberately very short. You can ask more if you want to. And there's a free flow option as well as having the buttons as well. So there's some really, really good options here. I feel like I've rattled through loads and loads, and I'm happy to, if I stop sharing now, is that okay? Then I'm happy to have any questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect, Dawn. Thank you.